Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today we're going to talk about not only the PPP loans, that's not really that important. It's the real estate values, the increase in inflation, which is not inflation sometimes. It's called greed. But if you're participating in buying assets, then the prices went up. You were outbid when you were buying real estate. Some of you were able to outbid the other person. Did you ever wonder why somebody was not caring? Why they were bidding an extra maybe 20, 30, $50,000, $100,000? Well, if you have free money, then it won't matter to you. And this is why we're gonna talk about a valuable lesson. Only invest based on your criteria. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, because as you know, a lot of people have overpaid for their homes. They didn't have to. They could have waited. They could have figured out a different home to buy, but everybody gets caught up in all the hoopla. So we're going to talk about this and much more in this Stop Struggling Now podcast video. Stop Struggling Now gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, please share the videos because this can help a lot of people. Because when there's hoopla, when everybody's out here wanting to get something, this may not be the best time to buy. And again, you have to base it on your criteria. You don't go with the Joneses. You go by with what is perfect for you. That's what investors do. And if you're going to be an emerging millionaire, you have to look at things such as liabilities as an investment, as well as assets and as investment. But it's an oxymoron when I talk about a liability being an investment. But in this case, a home, if you pay for it, is a liability. If you are making passive income and it's paying for your home, then that's a whole different story. We want you on the second part. We want you getting assets and that passive income that comes in to pay for where you live. That's how we do it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's go to the Stop Struggling Now YouTube channel page, as well as the podcast page. And I want to thank everybody so much for being here. And once again, share the videos. And if you have noticed, we have members of the channel. They help support the channel financially. Let me bring videos to you for the last 5-year anniversary just came up. Apparently, the anniversary of the first video I ever launched was June 28th. YouTube sent out a message to me, which was interesting because I actually didn't know. But once again, notice the members. They're showing a few right here. But over here on the right hand side, notice there's a join button. That's how you become a member of the channel. As a member of the channel, you receive special messages under the community tabs. We have live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And members with the icon, they can actually join me on any live stream they want. On Wednesday nights, only members of the channel can be in the chat room, and members receive special bonuses like holiday weekends. If you want to buy some gear, members will have a special discounted price, significant discounted price, quite frankly, so they can order there. Now, let's get into what I want to talk about. But oh, by the way, speaking of assets, I should mention this. SD Bullion 2023 Monster Box Sweepstakes. It's free to enter. So if you're not, or if you are a silver stacker or precious metal stacker, why not go down here and enter online for free and get your free entry in and enter this sweepstakes? Go over there and check it out. There'll be a link down below the video in the chat room so you can go over there and check it out. Now, let's get into this article I want you to pay attention to. I'll have a link down below to this article. This is going to be a very quick video because even my 10-year-old, if I still had one, they would be able to understand something. If I gave you $1 million just out of thin air and their homes for sale of 500,000, 550,000, you find a home that you love and you don't have to pay the PPP loan money back. That $1 million is basically a gift. And you really want the home, would you not then say, well, this guy has a $500,000. We know your realtor says they're taking offers, so you might want to increase your offer. Why wouldn't you just go, okay, I love this house, which is mostly what a home is. It's an emotional purchase. I'll just make it 575,000, 600,000. I have free money here and I get a home. So it's two things that have occurred. That has increased the value in the neighborhood, but the value also has a downside because that increases everyone's real estate taxes as well in the area, because now a $500,000 house somebody's paying $600,000 for. But that's not all. Here it is. Enormously costly business loan fraud drove inflation in home prices in certain markets, research suggests. There's no suggestion. When you have billions of dollars in the hands of a few, and they can turn around and say, you know what, I'm just going to go buy cars, go buy homes, go buy boats, because you guys gave me like $20 million, $5 million, then this is what's going to happen. So this is no shocker. Not to mention EIDL loans as well. So people weren't using them for paycheck protection programs. They were taking the money and buying what they considered assets. So that fraud, though, is not going to be returned. In other words, somebody bought something for 600,000, overpaid by 100,000. They're not all of a sudden going to say, well, give us back the house. Everybody's housing price goes back down to 500,000. Here's a refund for everybody that paid more than 500,000, because that actually blew up the whole neighborhood. Soon as one sold for 600, that means everybody else who's selling a house increased their value 575, 600, 625,000. And now the run is on because people are buying up homes at a higher price. So it's tremendous disservice to say this in a light situation. You could have been caught up in this and did not know it. You're thinking, why is somebody outbidding me? This is ridiculous. The guy only asked 475,000 for his house. How am I saying I'm going to pay 550,000 now for the house? That's crazy. Who's doing this? I told you guys back then. Don't buy. Move along. Don't do it. Don't put yourself in this situation. Now look, COVID era paycheck protection program fraud may have contributed to home price inflation, as they said. Fraud on this scale is enormously costly. I just gave you the costly. The taxes on it is costly. And it was done by the University of Texas at Austin. That's who did it. And of course, that's one of the markets that was probably affected. All right. Fraudulent claims for the Paycheck Protection Program. Fair enough. Again, all the more reason why somebody's going to overpay for $1 million house if you got a $5 million free money loan. And I told you guys back in the day who was mostly going to be receiving these PPP loans. And sure enough, 80 to 85% of PPP loans went to the highest earners in America. I told you they were going to forgive those, which we knew. But I also didn't want to mess with them because they are going to go after certain people and call it fraud for some, but not fraud for all. So I just didn't want to even get into it because I know how the United States government works. All right. It's more like a setup. So again, some people got them. A lot of people are going to jail because they were using it just like some of these other people, buying homes, doing all this and buying cars, buying clothes, buying jewelry. And some people go to jail. Other people are not. All right. Just keep that in mind. Now, Americans expect to need nearly 1.3 million to retire comfortably, which is very, very good that they talk about that. Again, this is what you have to start thinking about when you're 65, 70 years old. Heaven forbid you don't make it to live that long. You're going to need, according to this, 1.3 million to retire comfortably. So you need to start getting your assets. That's what we've been talking about here the whole time I've been on this channel. All right? Assets that pay you. Different ways to get different assets. All right, now keep that in mind. PPP loan fraud, U.S. home prices rose by 24% between November 2019 and November 2021. It rose 40% between 2021 and 2022, 20% each year. Unheard of, ridiculous, but it's because there was stimulus money, there's PPP loan money, and there are loans internally with banks and lenders, and stock prices are going up. People are getting bonuses. They're making more revenue from their companies when they have that clause in their contract that says, hey, if our stock price reaches $250, then I get $5 million. All this has something to do not just with home prices, but it has to do with the cost, because if somebody else gets a bonus of $5 million, they're moving up. They're saying, okay, let me go buy this $1 million, $2 million, $3 million house because I got this bonus, free money again. And now the whole neighborhood's cost of living is increases. So it's not just on the lower tier spectrum, it's all across the spectrum of real estate. This again, remember how I always tell you, go by the numbers. Do not overbid. We had a few people involved in bidding wars, and I always gave them the advice on our live streams. Stop bidding. Do not bid against somebody. If you want to buy a house for $500,000, then just buy it for $500,000. Going over an appraised value is ludicrous. All right? And going over what somebody's asking as a sales price is also ludicrous to me. I've never bought a house based on, if a person told me, which has happened in the past, they came in, I was bidding on I call it bidding, but I was bidding on a house. The guy was asking 500, and I believe it was 525. Okay? All of a sudden, I put in my offer for 525. 3 or 4 days goes by. The realtor comes back to me and says, hey, Eric, apparently somebody's made a offer that's higher. Now, they won't tell you what the offer is, but they're saying it was higher. So he says to me, well, what do you want to do? I said, we're looking for another house then. He's like, what? You don't want to do a higher offer? I said, a higher offer? I just gave the guy what he was asking. If you don't want it and he wants to take somebody else's offer, I'm out. I'll just go buy another house that I like. A home, I've lived in several homes. It's not like I consider a home like I'm going to live there for 25, 30 years. I never looked at a home that way. In fact, if you don't know already, most Americans change homes on average every 7 years. Just to give you an idea, all right? Now, back to this PPP loan. This is what I want you to understand. You don't know where somebody's getting their money from. You don't know if they're in a special situation where they're able to get virtually free money and they're outbidding you. And then that affects the whole community. All right? So just keep that in mind. And that's the moral to the story, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have a link down below to this article so you can check it out yourself. But once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And I know it's hard out here. And that's why we have to maneuver through these streets. Because the economy is going to go boom eventually. All right? And you want to put yourself in the position to accelerate to get that 1.3 million needed, because you're going to have to save that. You don't know how much things are going to cost. All right? All I know is we had a washer dryer situation, and it's kind of funny. The washer dryers used to only be like $300-$400. That's how old or how long this has been. Now go look, and that same thing is double the price. It hasn't been 20 years either. That's the funny part. It's double the price. So you're going to have to right now make double the money in order to retire. So if you did have 1.3 and you do start breaking it down where you say, you know what, I might live an extra 20 years, then you know you can only have $60,000 per year. And you're going to pay tax on some of that as well, unless you had a Roth IRA, for instance, and have untaxable monies coming in. But that's still going to be rare. And once again, think about that. Do you know how much it's going to cost 10, 15, 20 years to live? Do you know how much electricity is going to be? Do you know how much gas is going to be? Do you know how much a car repair is? Upkeep, maintenance, insurance. You don't know. You might find yourself like the people who have retired in Florida, where all of a sudden they thought they were good with $60,000, $50,000 a year, until now their home prices went up. Their real estate property taxes went up 60, 70, 80, even doubled from 3 or 4,000 to 10,000 now or more. Their insurance went up 60%. Was 5 grand, was 8 grand, now it's 10 grand, now 9 grand annually. All of a sudden you're spending $20,000 out of the thin air. And you're like, oh my God, wait a minute, hold on a second. Yes, I have 40,000 left over, but now we're down to 4,000 a month, and I still got HOAs. I still got to, I want to drive around. I still got to go get food. All of a sudden, it starts shrinking. So think about all of that, ladies and gentlemen. When you're out here buying things, you have to buy comfortably. Don't do what the Joneses do and go up to 35, 40% of how much you make to buy a home. Do not do that. Stay under 30%. Because what you're not calculating is the insurance, the real estate taxes, water, sewer, and garbage, HOA. You're not even including that in your monthly costs. So that's why, in reality, I said under 30, but try to stay under 25. All right? So then you'll be in a comfortable, safe zone. So keep that in mind as well. Please make your comments down below. And with all that said, keep your head up. Keep moving. And I'm out.